You can't live like a healthy person and clean like a chronically ill one. But chronic illness doesn't mean your house has to fall apart. It does mean that you have to approach managing it differently. Hi everyone, it's Audrey. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. On Sunday, I posted a video explaining how to properly shut down your house, and I had several people ask me how they can manage this while battling chronic illness. So that's our focus today. Now, this video will not be specific to chronic illness. This is a how-to for anyone that can't function at 100, whether that's chronic illness, mental illness, maybe even just a really busy season of life that has you chasing your tail. Before we start, let me first say I have no ailments. By God's grace, I have not yet had to deal with any kind of chronic or debilitating pain. So I'm going to try to tackle this conversation with humility and grace, and I apologize in advance if something comes across as unsensitive or privileged. As I said, this is not something I've dealt with, but I've had lots of requests to cover the topic. Also, my long form videos cover topics that you request. So if you ever want a topic covered in depth beyond what I'm able to do on my shorts, then please comment your suggestions below. I post a new video every Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday, so be sure to set a reminder to check those out each week. Okay, with all that being said, let's dive in. If you live with chronic pain, fatigue, autoimmune disease, mental illness, or any other condition that limits your energy, you've probably been told one of two very unhelpful things. Number one, just push through it, or number two, lower your standards. I don't agree with either of those. I believe every household, regardless of ability, needs a small set of daily tasks to stay functional. That's not perfect, that's not magazine ready, just manageable. And that's where the daily 6 and the house shutdown come in. Let's first talk a little bit more about the daily 6. And then I'll dive into it a little bit more later. These are 6 simple, easy tasks that, when done consistently, prevent the mess from piling up. These are tasks that, as I always say, keep your house manageable. They are not optional. I don't want to sugarcoat this or make you think there's a way around it. There's not. There is a minimum maintenance requirement for a home to stay livable. Every home. When these 6 things don't happen, the house doesn't just get messy. It becomes harder to function in. And when you're living with chronic illness, you don't have extra energy to deal with a crisis level mess later. Skipping daily maintenance doesn't save energy. All it does is borrow energy from the future at interest. And the future version of you is probably in pain or exhausted or needs the house to be easier, not harder. As I always say, don't make something future you's problem. Like I said, living with chronic illness makes the daily 6 more important, not less. Because big cleanups take more energy than small ones. Visual clutter increases fatigue and overwhelm. Decision making is harder when the house is chaotic. So the question is never, should these tasks be done? But just because something is necessary doesn't mean it needs to be done fast or all at once or by one person. And this is not about perfection. This is about prevention. The daily 6 exists to prevent laundry room disasters, dishes from piling up, waking up to a house that immediately drains you. You are not cleaning to impress anyone. You are maintaining your environment so it doesn't fight you. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't skip because you're tired. You just adjust how you do it, but you still do it. A house doesn't care how tired you are or how much pain you're in. If it isn't maintained, it just becomes harder to live in. And when someone has chronic illness, that difficulty hits faster and harder. Okay, now back to the house shutdown. You can go back and watch that video if you missed it. It's basically the daily 6, but this is necessary. This is what you do to ensure tomorrow doesn't start in stress. For people with chronic illness, this is especially critical because, number one, you don't know how you're going to feel tomorrow. Number two, you may wake up already depleted. And number three, decision fatigue hits harder. The house shutdown removes future pressure. Even if nothing else gets done all day, doing a partial shutdown protects your energy for tomorrow. But just because these things have to be done doesn't mean they can't be split across the day, or split across people, or done imperfectly, or done seated, or done in 5-minute chunks. Chronic illness changes the how, not the whether. It changes the how I do this, not whether I do this, okay? That's really important. It changes the how, not the whether. WHETHER, weather. Living with chronic illness doesn't remove the need for maintenance. It does change the strategy though. So let's talk about some little shifts you can start making in your daily 6 to make it manageable. Now, if you're with me so far, hit the like button. And because I assume everyone knows what I'm talking about, I guess I should clarify. The daily 6 is the top part of my cleaning schedule. So I have a cleaning schedule called the 610 list. You can Google it and get it off my website. I'll put it down in the description here. But it's 6 daily tasks that keep your home manageable. So let's dive into these and talk about realistic execution of each of them. Okay, number 1, 1 load of laundry. This one actually can be optional to a point. I mean, if you don't have in-house laundry, if you don't have a lot of dirty clothes each day, then this one can either be skipped or put off. Now, if you do have a lot of laundry every day, you cannot do that. You cannot skip it. You cannot put it off. But this does not mean that you're washing, drying, folding, putting away all at once, okay? For chronic illness, laundry is a multi-step or a multi-hour task. You might load the washer in the morning, switch it in the afternoon, fold or sort it sitting down, and then put it away before bed. Just giving you some examples of what you can do. Like I've said, laundry is a river, not a lake. It never stops flowing, so you have to keep paddling. All right, number 2, wipe counters. You don't need to scrub every square inch of every counter. I'm just saying remove the crumbs, remove the stickiness so it doesn't harden and demand more later. Just a few quick swipes. All right, number 3, load the dishwasher. Do this as the dishes are put in the sink throughout the day, not all at once. So you're walking by the sink, you see a dish, stop and load it right then. If the sink is pretty full, grab a stool and sit down to load. And what this could look like is you could stand up, grab a handful of dishes, lay them scattered on the top rack of the dishwasher so they're more at your level, then sit down and start properly placing them in the dishwasher, if that makes sense, okay? And don't overlook running your dishwasher without a full load, okay? If it saves time and energy, just do it. Number 4, wipe the sink. The sink is the heart of the kitchen and it's where all the germs live. So take the time to give it a quick wipe. Number 5, make the bed. Look, making the bed doesn't mean like hospital corners. I mean, I don't even do that much. All you need to do is pull up the covers, straighten your pillows, and you don't need a crazy amount of pillows like I have. Heck, if it's only you, just use the one pillow on your bed. But why does this matter, even if no one else sees your bedroom? Because a made bed makes the whole room feel calmer. Even if nothing else is done, it's your first small win of the day. Number 6, vacuum. This is the task that people with chronic illness dread the most, and for good reason. So here's the thing. When I say vacuum, people think I mean vacuum the whole house, and that's definitely not what I'm saying. All you want to do here is grab a small hand vac and go over any noticeable debris in the main living areas. Because if you leave a few moderate crumbs on the floor, then people step on them, crunch them up, kick them around, and suddenly those few crumbs have dirtied a considerable amount of your floors. Now, if there are no noticeable crumbs that day, skip it. And if it's within your budget, treat yourself to a robot vacuum. The less you have to do yourself, the more you can automate, the better. All right, if you've enjoyed the video so far, or if you've learned something new today, please hit the subscribe button so you're notified when I post a video. Okay, I want to be very clear about this. Taking longer does not mean you're failing. If it takes you all day to do what someone else can do in an hour, who cares? If shutting down your house needs to begin at 3, then it needs to begin at 3. Your job is not speed. Your job is consistency at a sustainable pace. Sustainable means we are not going to suffer from burnout later. We are able to function at this pace that we're going right now for the foreseeable future. It is sustainable. And you really need to listen to your body. This goes for anyone. Some days you may be able to work faster or longer than other days. Gauge your body. Make necessary adjustments based on how you're feeling. Now, most, not all, but most homes that include someone with chronic illness also include other capable humans, and this matters. The daily 6 belong to the house, not to one person. Tasks can be shared, tasks can be reassigned, tasks can rotate. Someone else can vacuum, someone else can start the laundry, someone else can load the dishwasher. You are not asking for help. You are allocating household labor appropriately. Chronic illness is not a personal failure. It is simply a factor in planning. And if your husband, partner, kids refuse to help, send them my way. I would love to have a talk with them. Everyone in the house should be helping. Everyone in my house helps. And it was rough at first. There were lots of loud conversations that were being had. And once in a while to this day, some of them still need reminded. But trust me, over time, everyone gets on board. You can't do it all, and that's perfectly okay. Now, what if you live alone? Well, then hooray, the daily 6 actually becomes more manageable, not less. Why? Because no one is undoing your work. No one is adding mess unpredictably. You can control the pace. This is where you lower friction, you use tools, you build systems that support your energy. Maybe this means duplicating cleaning supplies, storing them in 2 different locations so you don't have to walk so much. Maybe this means sitting while you do tasks. Heck, I sit while I do tasks right now. Maybe you break everything into pieces, set those 5-minute timers we talked about. Remember, your house does not need to look impressive. It just needs to support your health. Now, there's one more piece to this, and it matters just as much as doing the work. So if you're still with me, let me know in the comments and I'll move on. Okay, for people with chronic illness, managing a house isn't only about how you clean, it's also about how you live. Because here's the reality. You cannot live like someone without chronic illness and then just clean more slowly. That doesn't work. Living with chronic illness means you have to limit the inputs so daily maintenance stays possible. If your energy is limited, then everything you bring into your house, everything you ask your body to do, needs to be intentional. So this might mean simpler dinners that create fewer dishes, like crock pot meals maybe, or repeating the same meals instead of cooking something new every night. Wearing fewer clothes so laundry stays manageable. Owning fewer outfits so decision making is easier. Going a little longer between washing certain things. Stop folding items and get a system where you can just toss them in a bin. This isn't lowering your standards. This is just engineering your life to match your capacity. That's okay. Limitation is not failure, it's strategy. This part is uncomfortable but important. People with chronic illness cannot function like other people, not because they aren't trying, but because their bodies just don't allow it. And pretending otherwise doesn't make life better. It makes life harder. Limiting yourself isn't giving up. It's protecting your ability to function at all. When you limit choices, wardrobe volume, meal complexity, household inventory, you reduce the daily demand on your body, and suddenly the daily 6 become doable instead of overwhelming. The daily 6 are necessary, absolutely, but they work best when your life supports them. If you cook elaborate meals every night, dishes pile up faster than you can manage. If you own too many clothes, then laundry becomes a constant burden. If your house is full of excess, then every task takes longer and costs more energy. Simplifying life is how you keep maintenance within reach. This is about designing for reality. You don't build a life based on what you wish you could do. You build it based on what you can do consistently. This is how you avoid burnout. This is how your house stays manageable. This is how you protect your health. You can't live like a healthy person and clean like a chronically ill one. When your life is simpler, the daily 6 stop feeling manageable. Every house needs maintenance, and people with chronic illness deserve a way to meet that reality without sacrificing their health. The daily 6 and the house shutdown are not about discipline. They are about creating a home that doesn't demand a huge cleanup, that doesn't add mental stress, that doesn't punish you for resting. When your house is manageable, you conserve energy for your body, your relationships, your mental health, your actual life. Living with chronic illness means your energy is precious. The daily 6 are not about doing more. They are about doing just enough consistently so that life doesn't get harder than it already is. You don't need to earn rest. You don't need to keep up with anyone else. You just need systems that work with your body instead of against it. And this is one of those systems. Now, I hope I covered everything that you guys were worried about in the last video. If I didn't, please let me know in the comments. Do you like this pace? Am I too fast? Am I too slow? Let me know. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you all on Sunday for our next video.